Okay, we are live. Wow, this is interesting. Okay, okay, let's see. Yep. We're alive, we're alive, we're alive, we're alive. This is interesting. Hmm. Why is there so much noise there? Yes. Mm. Wow. Mm. Whew. Mm. Let's see. We're waiting. I'm waiting. Mm. 3 minutes. Yes. Okay, I have a guest. Let's see. And it's 8. We have 7 minutes more. 7 minutes more. And then we'll be good to go. Mm, I'm going to take this thing. Copy clipboard. Okay. Let's see. What is this? Mm. Hey, she's here.
been waving.
Yes.
I've been waving at you.
Oh, are you serious? My screen changed, so I couldn't.
Okay.
Yes, I was trying to send you an email.
Uh,
Yeah.
I realized.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Okay, we're in afternoon in Nigeria.
Pardon me.
No
Pardon me.
problem.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. Apart from being a Nigerian, living in Nigeria, I'm fine.
Looking beautiful and fabulous. I like your pink top.
Sorry?
I say you're looking beautiful as usual. I
Thank you.
like your pink top.
Thank you. It reads Diary of a Special Needs Mom. And behind reads Nimi's mom. But my second daughter should not see it though. She will vex. Mommy,
Fabulous.
when are you going to make my own top? I say, I will make your top like this,
How about
boldly written.
for really? But
Nimi's mom.
how come you didn't make hers? How did you make for Nini? You didn't make for her.
I said Nimi's mom now. You know, because Nimi is
I
the
know. Are you not? What's her name?
Baby.
Are you not Kwemi's mom too?
Don't worry. The program I used it for was on
I
disability. You
understand.
know? So don't worry. You are advocates. She's enough to even advocate for herself.
Yeah.
The girl is just like her mother. I can't complain.
Yeah, we thank God. I'm really excited and thank you so much for being here. Thank you
Uh,
so much. Thank you so much. I don't want to take you for granted, so I really, really appreciate that. Well, it's not exactly short time, but it was really
like,
short, like roughly in 2 weeks. And then you're like, yes, I'm like, yay, of course. Okay,
is it 1 hour? Are we doing 1 hour?
yes. So that's
Okay.
7:58 here. So it should be 2:50, no, 1:58 your end.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 2 minutes. Let's see. Okay. Ooh, yeah. So what have you been up to? We have 2 minutes more.
Hmm.
What have you been up to?
I think most of what I've been up to is resting, actually taking time to rest.
That's good.
Because I've been busy. May was very busy for me,
Okay.
so
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
okay. So I think that's 2 minutes more. Why is it taking forever? Let's wait. Let's wait. When you're looking at time, it feels like it's
Uh,
not
I'm
going.
coming. Let me get my pen in my bag. Same, just here.
Awesome. No problem. Okay. So once it's 8 1 minute more. Once it's eight, and then hope the sound is clear from your own end.
Yes, but it's a bit low. I'm not really here. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, I can.
But your own sound is a bit low.
Oh, really?
Like
Okay.
I have to strain to hear you. Maybe
Hmm.
it's my. Could it be my phone?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Hello. Okay. I changed the speaker.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's perfect now. At least
Yeah.
consider it better. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 1 more minute, and let's see who's going to join us. And thank you for the amazing job you've been doing so far. Because with your tight schedule, with what you have to deal with being a wife and being every other thing, you know, I don't know how you manage it. But for us here, well, I wish I was in Nigeria. I really wish I yes, because I get to do everything by myself. Everything. So yeah, it's a blessing to be at home. It's a blessing to be at home. So enjoy it. Don't complain. Don't complain.
Okay. It's two.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining. For people who would get to join us subsequently, and I guess some people will get the chance to see the replay. for this. So welcome, Mrs. Buki Ainde. I'm glad to have you here. But formally, welcome to Moments with Toyin. Um, on this channel, I'm a special education teacher, as you all know, and having worked with them, and then also having a child who had speech impairment at some point earlier on, when she was much, much younger, that I think opened me up to doing what I'm doing today. And so I consider it a blessing that if you have a child with any kind of challenge, we should all see it as God trying to show us our abilities and the strength that we have. So that's the reason why I'm doing this. And so it's a privilege that I have you here with me. But before we go in further, it would be very wrong of me not to do a proper introduction of my guests. So my guest, her name is Mrs. Buki Ainde. She's the founder of Diary of a Special Needs Mom initiative under P413 Foundation. She's a lawyer and an author of an inclusion and equity advocate. Buki also holds a master's in managerial psychology. She started her career in litigation lawyer before moving on to becoming a learning and development consultant. She spent 5 years in the banking industry where she worked in the human resource, marketing, and legal departments. Based on her years of experience as a mother of a special needs child, Bukola also has become a voice for families who have children living with disability in Nigeria. She has published 5 amazing books to promote disability awareness and inclusion. She has written many articles in several national newspapers, as well as an online magazine, Bella Niger, on disability. Bukola has produced 2 documentaries to promote disability inclusion in Nigeria. The first is titled Oluwalonimi, Benefits of Inclusion Education. This has been screened in Lagos Business School and several other locations in Nigeria and abroad. Buki is a passionate, prolific speaker who engages the government, schools, religious centers on disability awareness and management. She has organized several programs to facilitate disability awareness and amongst students. Diary of a Special Needs Mom initiative, through the leadership of Bukola, has sponsored special needs children in mainstream schools, trained and financially empowered women with special needs children. Bukola coaches mom on living successful lives in spite of the challenges. Wow, what a resume.
Thank you.
Wow, wow, what an amazing job you're doing.
Thank you.
Well, whether I introduced you or not, it would be nice to hear from you directly to formally, introduce yourself and give us the honor of meeting you officially.
Okay, so as you have said, even though you called me Buki, I will still say my name is Bukola. Bukola Ainde. And I have 2 lovely daughters. The first is Nimi, who, by the way, is living with cerebral palsy. She's 8 years old. And her younger sister, Kwemi is 7 years old, by the way. And yes, I'm married to Lawrence Ainde. So right now, the majority of what I do is advocacy, and I focus on children, in young students, because I strongly believe that they are the future. It's funny when you're talking to adults and they don't get it. They keep on telling you how nice idea, it doesn't work. There's this thing that will make it work. There's no money. There's this. There's that. So, with children, their minds are open. So we run different programs for children, to give them the right narrative about persons living with disability so that they will understand it, they will not fear people with disability, and they will be able to accept and show love and understanding when they see their classmates who are different from them. Secondly, I work with mothers who have children with disability, because I'm also a mother, and living in Nigeria, it's itself work, because you hardly get support from anywhere. And one day I asked myself, I said, if I, an educated woman, could be going through these challenges to just give my child, a somewhat normal life to live, then how are indigent mothers doing it? So I work with mothers who have children with disabilities, so that they can, live a successful life in spite of what they are going through. So I do that basically, with the NGO. And apart from that, I'm also a life coach, and I work with mothers. That's not under the NGO, though. That's paid services,
Okay.
one on one.
Okay.
So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So, I haven't said all of that. Okay. I would like for you to give us an insight into what your family dynamics looks like on a good day. On a good day, what
Okay,
does that look like?
so well, for now, my husband works from home since COVID started, because
Okay.
for multinationals, most of them have not resumed. So
Okay.
we have the privilege of having him around,
Awesome.
So Nimi goes to a mainstream school. Initially, when we started this journey, we started from a special needs school, and I realized that it wasn't really what I wanted for her. And I started with homeschooling. But along the line, we got her into a mainstream school, and she has been thriving, which I always tell people, because over here in Nigeria, we just assume that once a child has a disability, the child should go to a special needs school. I'm not saying a special needs school is wrong, but having a child in the mainstream school has its own benefits. So Nimi goes to a mainstream school, and her younger sister too goes to a mainstream school. And so, I mean, I have my support system at home. Nimi goes to school with two people, a therapist and a caregiver, and she's excelling, she's doing well, even though she's still fully dependent. She's a level five. When it comes to grading cerebral palsy, she's a level five, because she can't use her forelimbs, and she doesn't have a perfect neck control. But apart from that, her cognitive is very impressive. So
Awesome.
yeah, we're thriving. For me, I work from home, to be able to ensure that I'm running my business and running my home at the same time. So during the COVID, I realized that my daughter, works best on one-on-one. So right now, even though she goes to school 4 times, initially it was every day, but
Okay.
now I've reduced it to, like, she stays home for a day, so that
Okay.
we can have more of hands-on exercises. She has therapy 3 times a week, twice in school and once at home. So yes, it's a busy schedule. We also have a homework plan for her.
Awesome.
So I was able to draw out a work plan that includes her learning, her exercises, her playtime, and which her therapist, works with her on that as well.
Okay.
Then
So
I get auxiliary nurses as her caregivers.
awesome. 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 Wow. That's so. Just to deviate a bit, that sounds like a proper structure. There's a
Yes,
routine. Okay. That.
yes, Toye, if you don't have a proper structure, it cannot work.
Yes.
That means I have to be the one, I didn't get here in one day. It
Mm-hmm.
was it was me trying to say that even if my child has a disability, I also have a life. I am not going to put my life on a shelf. And I
Yeah.
realized that at a point, Toye, I wanted to leave the country, you know. But my husband was not going to live with me. I mean, he has a job here. What's he going to do over there? So I was like, will I go and do a single mom there? My husband is here. We are operating two homes. We are
Mm-hmm.
changing our naira to dollar. It didn't make sense. So I had to sit down and to ensure that it works. I have done all the trial and error, and I said, I have to find what works for us as a
Yeah.
family. so that we can all live together and my husband can have his life. I, the mother, can have my own life.
I like that emphasis on you having a life.
Yes, because it takes a happy mother. It takes a balanced mother, yeah, to be able to take care of a child with additional needs. Because at the end of the day, you become a bitter woman if
Yeah,
you feel that you have shelved all your dreams to take care of a particular person.
yeah,
Yeah, you,
yeah.
you just have to run both side by side. Like my last people will
Freezing.
say, pari pursue. The child is doing hers, you're doing yours, and we are all moving along fine.
Yeah, yeah. I like the emphasis on yourself, because regardless of even the ability of the child,
Yeah.
you need to take time for yourself. You need to function as a human being, even when you have independent children. How much more a child who depends on you? You're freezing. How much more? Your connection is freezing. Are you there?
Sorry, you
Okay.
lost me a bit there.
Yes, I did. Yes. Yeah, so
Okay.
I was just pretty much saying that the need for for you to take care of yourself cannot be overemphasized. Whether you have
Yes.
a child who with needs or not, whether you have an independent child who can sort out themselves, you still need your time. You still need to
Mm-hmm.
be sane. So well done. And I like
Thank you.
the fact that you emphasize routine. For me, I would say I learned routine and structures pretty much as a teacher, because that's how we work with these kids. Because since you have
Mm-hmm.
children with different levels of learning or physical disability, if you do not have a structure, your class will be wild. So I think
Mm-hmm.
for me, I learned routines and structure from work. So yeah, so good job,
Yeah.
and wow, amazing. So now I know you've touched on a lot of things, but for the purpose of being specific, you're a law graduate. Wow, you're a former banker, only you, but currently also an author and a child advocate. How did this transitioning happen? How are you able to marry all of this? I hear structure and routine, but practical, like how how did you get all
O-
this done?
Okay, so to start with, how I went from one to one, because from being a litigation lawyer, I realized that going to court wasn't my thing.
Okay.
And that was the era of human resources. So I joined a consulting firm who was into human resources and learning and development. And I
Okay.
realized that I had a talent for training, teaching, facilitating. So that was where I developed my core skills. And from there, I moved on to the banking system, which I worked for a while. Then I left and started up my own business called DPI Services. It's still on, by the way.
Okay.
It's a consulting firm as well to help SMEs. So after I had my daughter, of course, the whole emotions of having a child with disability, I just put everything on a hold, you
Okay.
know. And along the years, when I began to understand myself, I came out of my depression, self denial, and all that emotions. I realized that I had to pick my life back. And I started from just taking the pieces one at a time. Because I'm a passionate writer. I love telling stories and writing stories. So my organization started for me writing stories online. I think the first journal I wrote was 30 Days in Hungary, when I took my daughter for therapy in Europe and I documented what we did every day.
Hmm.
And that was when mothers started, coming to me and all that. And from there, I saw the need to have an organization. Okay, so from there, I started developing myself again, started having my self confidence back, because when you have all these things happen to you, it has a way of eroding your self confidence, your self esteem, and your self worth. So it was through the process of developing myself, getting trained, exposing myself to things that could build me up. That was when I was able to start picking up one thing or the other, that all the things I'm doing. And the books I have written, I've written the storybooks. I've written three storybooks and a coloring book. And it
Okay.
was because when children will come to my house, Nimi's age mate, and they're wondering, why is she sitting on a different chair? Why is she being spoon fed? Why is she using diapers? And I realized that, okay, it's high time I write it out in a way that they would understand, and they'll be able to relate,
Mm.
with her condition. So that was how I began to write storybooks, and also based on the fact that a lot of mothers, when I started out, I was hungry to read about books written by African mothers, especially Nigerian mothers, who has gone through what I'm going through. I think I only saw only one particularly. I think the other one, yeah, like two. So I wanted to put my story out there so that for mothers, younger mothers who are coming up and who need to say, okay, I'm not alone. Someone else has gone through all this. So I wrote my story as well, as in that is naked and not ashamed, and I put it out there. So having done that, I'm still doing more. But what I have done is that, Toye, I have put a structure in my home, with the help and the and understanding of my husband. So, my daughter goes to school, and with that, I'm able to do what I want during the day. Then there's a housekeeper that I will monitor and give instruction. Do this, do that. If you don't have that, see, there's no Wonder Woman anywhere. There's no Superwoman anywhere. We all need help, and I'm able to understand this is the help that I need. What can I? You see, there are three things I learned. Which is either you delegate, or you outsource, or you eliminate. You
Same.
can't do everything.
I
You
love.
can't do everything. You have to look for the one that is just you that you can do. So that's what I have done and has worked for me. Initially, like I was saying of recent, that when I started my NGO, I was doing everything. If they say disability here, I'm there. If they say kitty cocket, I'm there. But I had to streamline the things I'm doing to what I can conveniently do. Because even the so-called funding has reduced. So to what I can conveniently do with the funds that are available to me. So also, with the things I do, for example, if this month like this month I've done neuro-linguistic programming in May, I'm writing an exam next week. So I understand that throughout this week I'm revising for my exam. Every other thing else is secondary. And if I'm not doing anything, I know that I'm dedicating the time to my children, to my husband, and my family. So I just try to balance things out and not take more than I can cope with per time.
Wow. Wow. How long ago did you write your first book?
Okay, so that was it 3 years ago, 2018.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Awesome. That's a lot.
That's my published. That's my published.
Oh,
The
okay.
Yeah, the 30 days in Hungary. I am thinking of publishing it this year. That was written in 2017
Okay. It's still in the
on
pipe.
Facebook. Yeah, but I'm going to put it together and publish it this year.
Awesome. 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 So, what I hear you say, another way that has helped you transition so smoothly is delegate, eliminate what anything that is of no use, drop it,
You delegate, outsource, or
and
you
eliminate.
eliminate.
Yeah, so those three things are obviously, and structure has
Yeah.
obviously helped you transition. Awesome. So for anybody who gets it, because I try to highlight the key points, that so that when people listen, or if there's anybody people who get to see this later would have something, even if it's just one thing to take away, to know that, okay, this is what I should do to be able to, survive this season of my life. So I know that it's easier said than done. Um, Before getting here, when you got the confirmation that, okay, I think this is what I have to deal with concerning my child, in terms of her being classified as having cerebral palsy. Of course, we know that, as from baby, you see signs when things are not exactly right and all of that. But when it dawned on you, and then when you got the confirmation that this is it, what what was it like? What was the emotions like? What?
Of course,
What?
my emotions were everywhere. Oh, why me? Why did this happen to me? What have I done? Who have I offended? Who is the witch? Why has God left me? I was just everywhere. And initially, I was going for one church deliverance and the other, and when you don't see immediate results, I started having, depression, just thinking, wondering what's going on. Then if you see children, you get sad and think, oh, my child will not have a childhood where she can play like other children. Yeah, so it just affects you emotionally.
Wow. What was extended family support like?
Oh yeah, it's
Because
I'm
I asked that because in the context of an African,
yeah,
family. uh,
I understand. Yeah. So for me, I was really not I was I am really lucky. Both from my side and my husband's side, they've been very supportive, prayerful, giving me my space, so
Important.
and they love my daughter. And but I understand that it's not like that for a lot of mothers in general in Nigeria and Africa. I understand because I have counseled a lot of mothers and I see what they go through. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So my next, as a parent, okay, how have you been able to help your daughter emotionally? Because you've talked about yourself. We'll still get back to you. But for your daughter, how have you been able to manage the emotional side of all of this, educational wise, and of course, the spiritual side to it? So this has,
Okay.
yeah.
So for my daughter, she, the emotional part of it is that she feels she's a superstar.
You're doing good.
Because she has all the attention, everybody. So the girl feels like a superstar. Even was it in her former school on Val's Day, a little boy gave her a Valentine's card. So even her mother didn't even get Valentine's card.
Awesome. That means you're doing a good job.
So we show her so much love that yes, she knows, she's different. She's 8. She knows it's different, but she understands that she is loved. I think that is one of the greatest foundation, love.
Yeah.
She understands that she is loved. So I see her being confident. I see her happy. And if she's not happy, she will let you know. If her teacher should ignore her in class, she will shout. If you're asking people's question, you must ask her and be patient enough to let her say it the way she can say it as you would understand, So, yeah, that is the stage where we are now. And I know that as she's getting older, there may be other emotional needs, which by God's grace will be able to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So educationally, what are the yeah, I know of course the classroom would have structure, but what are specific requests or needs that you as a parent asked for or that you've made clear. Because sometimes in the educational system that you are, in our community, let me put it that way, it's easier once you drop the child in school, right? And then you go home. The child is left with the school for a very long time, probably 8 hours before you come pick them up. So were there specific demands you placed on the school, or were there already structures that were available in the school to be able to meet you know her need?
Okay, so the first thing when I'm looking for a school is to speak to the owner of the school. You
Okay.
know, over here we are big on private schools. So I need to understand because when you say, oh, we do inclusion, it starts from the top. I need to understand if the owner of the school buys into inclusive education. So once I have that, fine, then we go on to the class teacher. Who is she or he a direct fit for this child? So once we have that, then we're able to walk around her needs. For example, she cannot write, because she can't use her hands. So she has an assistant teacher who is also her therapist,
Okay.
who takes down notes for her,
Awesome.
who and during even before COVID, we had introduced a laptop for her. We're doing speech to text,
Okay.
text to speech for her. Then during COVID, it was more of slides, more of visual aids, and we realized that she's a visual learner.
Okay.
So a lot of her schoolwork, is done via visual aids. And how would I put it? She cognitively, she's super. She is one of the best students in her class academically. Then for she has speech impairment. So if you are a stranger in my home and she talks and she makes a sentence, you may not understand what she's saying.
Okay.
If she says a word, you as a stranger may not understand. We will understand clearly,
Hmm.
especially her. But in her class, when it's a word that she has been taught before in class, the teacher will understand what she's saying clearly.
Okay.
But she still has speech impairment because if I bring her now and she says something, you may not even understand.
I understand what.
But her teacher that is in class with her classmates will understand, what she is saying. So for her assessment is usually options,
Okay.
giving options or filling the gaps.
Oops. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Filling the gaps. Even for creative writing is questions.
Okay.
Then because she's a visual learner, what I have done is that she watches multiplication tables almost every other day so that she knows it by heart because that's going to help her with her long divisions and her additions and every other thing you
Okay.
know
So now, did this come from the school, or you as a parent requested for these accommodations?
so the school she's at presently, it was like a combination. Some of the things I have said, like the objectives, the oral tests,
Mhm.
came from the school.
Okay.
It was the school's decision after, assessing her. For example, when she moved to the school, and she moved to the school in as a year one student, and I told them that she's above that. But usually when you see Oluwalodimi, oh, you think she doesn't know anything based on cerebral palsy, the physical look. You think, oh, she doesn't know anything. So by the time they were into the half of the first term, they realized that, oh, she was way above that class. So at that point, she was doing year one and year two, because I actually pushed that they should allow her to do year one and year two, because if the year one work is not challenging for
Mm.
her, then I don't know.
There's like
So
to
so
regret.
we're working together. You know, they will try some things, oh, this work, then they do more, like
Okay.
that. So it was more of a combination of an interested school, an interested teacher, than a committed parent, who work together for the success of the child.
Okay. So there you have collaboration, you and the school, to be able
Exactly.
to be able to meet her needs. Awesome. Awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now, so we go into the core of who you are right now, because life is in phases, from this stage to another stage, and then as you grow into your calling and what God has for you, things begin to open up to you. But I would say currently, outside of
Yeah.
being an author, I think advocacy for you seems to be the thing now, right? That's your core right now. So for
Yeah.
parents, yeah. So for parents who don't know, because based on what you just said, you are collaborating with the school to be able to meet her needs at every point of the
Yeah.
of the day in school. So that's a parent advocating for their children or for their child.
Yeah.
How, for parents who don't really understand the meaning or the need to advocate for their children, first and foremostly, what would you say advocacy or advocating for your child mean? What does that mean? What does that mean to you?
Okay, so people usually think, oh, when you say advocate, advocacy, you need to have an NGO. No, we don't. The fact that you try to integrate your child into the community is the biggest advocacy you can do. Because yesterday we took Nimi to the mall with her sister, and of course, you have people staring. You have people shake. I saw one cleaner guy shaking his head like, this child. One lady approached my husband as I moved, in front of my daughter, that can he please take her to a particular church. She mentioned a particular church, and my husband said, "Oh, thank you, no." So these are the things as you're taking it, because you don't see these children in malls. So when you take your child, and we took her to, the PlayStation, and we're assisting her, to watch the 9D and everything. Her dad carried her, and we took her there to the cafe to have some an eatery to have snacks, and they saw us feeding her, so that is in itself is advocacy. The
Awesome.
fact that you are trying to integrate your child in the school system is one of the biggest advocacy we can have in Nigeria right now. The school is kicking on some things the other children don't understand, and the children's parents are thinking, why is this child in my kids class? Will
Hmm.
my child get an infection, or will my child behave like this? So that is one of the biggest way for you to do advocacy, because everywhere that I go that my daughter belongs to, I give my books to them free. Once it's her birthday, everybody in school gets something about inclusion, disability. I create awareness. I still saw a boy in her school yesterday reading one of my storybooks. So I help them to understand that you are going to have diverse people. You are going to have people who are different from you. It doesn't mean that they are less than you. So in everything you do, look at the church system. You have a lot of churches that don't have ramps, with workers who don't understand what disability is.
Hmm.
So by the time you're trying to integrate you will need to talk. You need to find a leader to talk. You need to talk, stress your points, and keep talking. That is advocacy. And it is important. And the reason why we are still where we are in Nigeria is because people are hiding their children. So when you go and meet your priest or your pastor, to say, are these children? We don't have them in our own church. You have them, pastor, but their parents are not bringing them to church in me.
Honestly.
So by the time you keep hiding, but once they see that the children with disability Did I lose you for a minute there? I think so.
So I
Children
did.
with disability exist. They will make room for them. Nigeria itself is not an inclusive society. So it is we, the parents, who are passionate about our children, make space for our children in the society.
Wow, I lost you for a
Okay.
minute.
Toye, can you hear me?
Ye- Yes, I can. Yeah, I lost you for a
Okay.
minute there. Yeah, but I think
Yes.
that's pretty much every parent, regardless of your child's ability. It's the job of the parents to speak on behalf of their children.
Yes.
Are you there? You're frozen. Yeah. So thank you for emphasizing, the need for exposure,
Yes.
the need for us parents to be able to speak up for our children regardless of their abilities, and most especially if there's a disability. There's no need to be ashamed. That shame thing is so shame is terrible. It just it takes life away from people. Even I have an extended family that has a child like that, and I will tell you the truth, I've only seen that child once. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? Are you there? I lost you. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
was
guess it's my network.
yeah, I was saying
Okay.
I also have an extended family member who has severe disability, and I've only seen the child once,
Mhm.
and they are educated, they are
So yeah,
exposed.
you can't blame the parents. You
I
cannot
understand.
blame the parents.
That's,
Oh,
that's what
I've
I'm saying.
had I've had series of mothers tell me that there was a particular mother that said the landlord said she has to leave the house, that she has given birth to a snake. You have mothers who have been thrown out, that they brought bad luck and they brought evil and spirit children. So we still have all those dark ideas, all those funny, funny things. Some would even say that the wife cheated on her husband while she was pregnant. And that was why she conceived and gave birth. Oh, very silly things. Then you have neighbors and families, especially if the person is well to do, they'll say, oh, they use them for money rituals. So because the society is not accepting of the children, the parents, in order to avoid stigmatization,
Hmm.
they lock the children up. But what they don't understand is that, in my advocacy, I've realized that having children with diverse needs, it cuts across all economic stratas of the society. The
Oh,
very rich, the middle class, and the
oh,
indigent, they all have children with disability, and it's funny though, it's not until I had my daughter before I realized that there's so many people. But because we put the children at home, we put the front that there's nothing going on. Then how will the society be able to change? How would the society? Because so yeah, right now, in Nigeria, I've been trying to buy a CP chair.
okay.
Unless you get someone to fabricate something for you, you
Hmm.
can't really get a CP chair, a good CP chair in Nigeria. Can you imagine? Just an ordinary CP chair in Nigeria. And that's because people don't see the need for it. If we understand that, oh, people with disability need this thing, then we will make it, isn't it? We keep complaining there's no job, there's no this. The kind of millions in dollars that leaves the shores of this country for disability management is amazing. We leave money on the table
Yeah.
every time. For example, now, when I travel with my daughter, we are able to go everywhere with her with public transport, in the
Yeah.
train, in buses, anywhere we are going with her. Over here, before we go out, we have to think twice.
You will have headache.
Oh, do they have access? Do they have a ramp? Is it a wide space? You just have to start cracking your head. So those are the things, because we are not an inclusive community. Even on the road, we don't, when they are making the roads in Nigeria, they don't consider pedestrians, talk less of people with disability.
It
So
wow, it's a as a fundamental
yeah,
issue.
and that's because they are not thinking that they exist.
Hmm.
That is why my advocacy is to the children, so that by the time they are formed in their thinking, they begin to see the world in an inclusive way.
Awesome.
These
That's
guys, your ministers, their minds are made up, yeah. So, but when you start young, they can begin to think inclusion.
yes, yes. Yeah. The earlier you plant that seed in them, the
Exactly,
better, because because what we have right now in Nigeria feels like, nobody can save it other than the children that are coming up.
exactly.
So wow, that's a good one. That's a good one, and that's a good thought to have, channeled your advocacy too. That okay, yes, even though these adults seems like nothing is entering their head, with the children, we can do something.
You
So
can do something.
yeah, thank you so much for that clarity. Thank you so much for that clarity. What are specific ways parents can advocate? You touched on that.
Yeah,
Speak up, come out,
yeah.
open up, ask for help. Yeah, ask for help so that you get the right help that you need. Speak up so that accommodations and modifications can be given to your children for education and all of that. So yeah, you touched on that, so there's no need for us to go
So,
there.
Toye, what most parents fear when they take their kids out is, oh, people are looking at me. They will look, but when they are tired of looking, they will remove their eyes.
These are
They
simple.
will remove their eyes. You do what you want to do, and you go to your house with your child.
Mhm, mhm. It takes, I think it would take a lot for someone to get to the point where you are in mentally. It would take
Yeah,
a long time to get to, because even as adults, that we're all right, you just somehow feel inadequate sometimes. You understand what I mean?
yes.
You somehow sometimes feel like as if you are inadequate, it's not enough, you can't do enough and all of that. So how much more this, and then external pressure too is coming with their own on unsolicited advice. So yeah, so it takes a lot to get there, and then to be able to say, what, I really don't care. If you look, you look. If you don't want to look, take your eyes off. So yeah. um when it comes to okay, yes, you said, are there any services to cater for special needs children in Nigeria? Because I know when both of us spoke, and I was trying to say, oh, the services are not enough, they are limited assessment, specialists here and there, it's difficult to assess this, resources that these children need. And you were trying to say, no, they are available. So yeah, so touch on that. Do people have access to it? This services for special needs, who gets access to it pretty much?
Okay, so if you want to get a diagnosis, depending on what it is, you can go to the teaching hospitals
Okay.
or the state hospitals and book, to see the neuro pediatrician
Okay.
to
Neuro.
assess your child and get a diagnosis. And usually, after the diagnosis, they would refer you for rehabilitation, which are usually within the same hospitals, you
Okay.
know. So that is where you get, and most of the services available there are physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and I believe I think Igbobi has a speech pathologist. But what you have that is common in Nigeria are paid private services. paid private services. Okay, because I would not wake up and leave my house to say I'm going to do therapy outside my house. You know, it doesn't work for me that way. I have a therapist that comes to the house when my daughter is at home and to the school when she's in school. However, it's not the average, how do I put it? Maybe the low income earning parents will not be able to afford that. You understand? So, but in the hospitals, they are quite affordable. But that means that wherever you're living in Lagos, let me use Lagos right now as my focal point. That means you have to leave your house very early to be able to take maybe to see the doctor on time or the therapist on time. You know, and if you're having therapy 3 times a week, that means that usually the mothers go. That means that for those 3 days a week, you're practically not doing any other thing. You're going to be, yeah, you're going to be in that hospital. That means 3 times a week, you're not doing any other thing.
Wow.
That means the child will not go to school.
Hmm.
That means you can't run your business. So that is really time consuming.
Mhm.
So after a while, most of these parents just stop.
Mm.
you know.
Okay.
So because and as especially when the child has cerebral palsy, which is a physical movement disorder. So and we don't have all this I mean it's not like the bus from your individual street. You can
Mhm.
still get what we call the BRT that applies the express road. Some of them have spaces for wheelchairs. But for you to get access to the BRT, you still need to use this smaller buses that don't have any space for wheelchairs. So that means that as the child is getting older, the mother has to carry the child on the back, no matter how old, on the back, to be able to access those small buses. And even when you take the BRT, it will not get you to your last destination. You
Mhm.
still have to take either an Okada, that's a motorbike, or a small tricycle that we called keke marwa in Nigeria, to get to this. So once a parent is doing that, then you have parents who say, "Oh, Buki, I have a backache, I have this, I have that," and they just stop. So that's for children that have physical,
Disability.
movement disability. Now, for children with autism, for children with Down syndrome, and any other, um, disability. So you don't have like, how do I put it, a public service provider to cater for them. What we have are NGOs. So we have the Down Syndrome Society. I'm not
Okay.
sure if that is free. We have the Morembo in Festac. I'm not sure if that is free as well. For children with autism or any other behavioral disorder, you know, it's usually paid services that we have. Paid services that we have.
So that means, in other words, we do not have enough to cater for this population because your focal point being Lagos, right?
Yeah.
We have 36 states in Nigeria,
Mm-hmm.
and Lagos, I would probably say most of the metropolitan states, which is Lagos, Abuja, um, Port Harcourt, and then which other state again? is we will say is metropolitan would probably have quick little places here and there that would offer these services, but not necessarily the best. You still have to do it privately to be able to get
Yeah.
what you want. Okay. So
Mm.
how how can what do you think? What do you think? It's really it's sad.
That
It's
can be done.
Yes, because
Okay, so earlier this year, I had the opportunity to speak with Lagos State Governor, and
okay.
I said one of the things that can be done, like for example, I don't know about other states, but in Lagos,
Mm-hmm.
we have community health centers in
Okay.
each community all over the different
Local.
districts of Lagos. We have health centers.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice was that the rehabilitation, centers
Mm-hmm.
should be decentralized to the community centers. Then, if we say you don't have enough staff, we have youth youth corps members, who are physiotherapists and occupational therapists, even if it's just once or twice a week. And they are in all these community, centers, and they are being supervised by maybe one or two specialists to
Mm-hmm.
see what they are doing and to go through their case files. Things will be done.
Mm-hmm.
Things will be done. It will reduce the anxiety, the labor that has been put on the parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing is also, there are so many aspects of it. The transportation system.
Yeah.
So if you have a child with a physical disorder and the school does not have a school bus, then that means that it's either you are going to be paying for a taxi fare
Huh.
twice a day for drop off and pick up,
Yeah.
or because you can't even cope with a public transport. So those are the basic amenities that the parents need to be able to, even give their children a somewhat normal life with their peers. So if in each community they can have access to some of these basic things and they don't have to leave their community and travel.
Yeah.
Now, when I said, oh, the neurologist, the this, okay, is that you're going to Luth or you're going to Lagos State University, or and so that means that somebody that is coming from the end or the outskirts of Lagos, like Badagry,
Hmm.
will have to wake up around 4 and leave their house at 4 a.m. to be able to enter into the Lagos metropolis to access healthcare.
Hmm.
We have people that are living at the fringes of Lagos State, and it's almost as though they are traveling every time they're taking their child for rehabilitation services.
Wow.
So those are the things that but what I often tell parents is this: because of the peculiarity of Nigeria and the poverty level, when you go for your when you go for your rehabilitation sessions,
Mhm.
look at what the therapist is doing, and try to actually practice it while he is there, so that if you can just come once a week, the other 2 times at home you're doing it. Because even though you're taking care of your child, you need to consider your health as well. It's not practicable for
Yeah.
someone to be traveling 3 times a week for therapy. It's not practicable.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Whew. You touched on a lot of things there. You touched on it's amazing that even for children who don't have disabilities, there are still so many limitations. How
Yeah.
much more children who need extra help or who have
Mhm.
special needs. I'm hoping that thank God we're both advocates, and thank God you are in Nigeria, and hopefully we'll get somewhere with all of this, because it's not just about the talking, it's also about the
Yeah.
doing. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
about the talk, it's also about the doing. So hopefully we'll get something done. So if you were to, based on your experience and your exposure with all of this, um if you could change anything, what would you do differently, or what would you change? Anything, you know, what would you do differently?
Okay, so like I've mentioned one, which is to decentralize the rehabilitation centers and services for parents.
Mhm.
You know, that's one. Then on transportation, we need more buses that would, that would make space for people that have, disability. that they can access, with their wheelchairs. Then we need to, and the government needs to encourage entrepreneurs who want to go into production of maybe mobility or therapy equipment for people living with disability. It's not all the time we should be importing. I mean, even if you have factories that can do these things in Nigeria, you can even employ people that have disability. They are saying there are no jobs for them. I mean, you could make something for them by them, and you're killing two birds with one stone, which makes sense. I was telling a friend of mine that I had to aggressively potty train my daughter because what after size 6 diaper and size 6 plus diaper, what you have are adult diapers. You have the small size and all that, but you basically it's adult diapers. And at a point I was thinking of bringing in size 7, size 8, size 9. We don't have to keep bringing everything from China or from US. If the government sees that there's a need for it, there's a market for it. The other time my daughter she needed a bathing chair. We couldn't get any in Nigeria. I had to buy from Amazon.
Hmm.
We don't need to buy everything. So by the time you encourage people, you give them grants to go into productions of these things, you're meeting the needs of people with disability and you're also providing jobs. So there are so many things to then parents of children with disability, they need support. They need support. They need welfare. Really, that is what I do. I realize that a majority of them cannot leave the house to go and to take up a 9 to 5 job. So they need to run businesses from home. So by the time you speak to them once or twice, realize that majority of them is money issues. So that was why I said, no, I'm not going to be counseling. Your problem is money issue. So it's business. So for them, I just focus on business and personal development.
That's
How you can be self-sufficient, how you can run your own businesses from home, even if you have a shop or what you can do. So they need welfare, they need counseling. You have you know, in Nigeria especially, you people with children with disability, they would go into depression at one time or the other in their lives. And some of them will never come out of depression. So, we need the state to see this and to also provide services for the parents, you know, and also for religious centers, especially churches. You need to think inclusion because if the people in the church, I mean, the principal is in the church, the doctor is in the church, the bus driver is in the church, everybody, in the community goes to the religious center. If they can hear from the pulpit that these children are not demons,
that's a
it will
good
go a long way.
good one.
It will
Because,
go a long way in fostering inclusion.
yes, that's a good one because now that I'm thinking of it, in fairness, now that I'm thinking of it, all my life of being in church, I've never heard a sermon on disability.
Yeah.
And so quick. We are so quick to talk about the money parts. We are so quick to talk about the condemnation parts. We are so quick to, but I have never, now that you mentioned it, I have never heard about a disability sermon. Yes, okay. Now that I'm talking with you, I'm remembering, the woman with the issue of blood, the man by the poolside for 38 years. All of that is not put in the context of what we are talking about now, to make it, obvious and clear that this has got nothing to do with the person who has produced this child.
Yeah.
Instead, it goes in another direction. So
Yeah.
yeah.
The child needs, so you find parents who take their children to funny places. I don't want to call them churches or mosques. Funny places. They, especially children with autisms, they will use chains to tie them down. They will whip them. They say they are beating out the demon in them. Oh yes, they will starve them. they'll say they are placing them on fast. They'll call them witches and spiritual children, and so we have things like that in Nigeria. So, and everybody just turns the other side and looks as if it doesn't exist. It does exist. It does exist. So those are the things. That's why I said I'm choosing advocacy. Even though I write about the ills of these things in the society, I rather focus my energy on the children.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, in your own way of empowering and giving back for your NGO, I heard you mention the services that you specific render to these women, because it's not just about talking to them, and the core of it all is financial freedom.
Yes, because in counseling, just be going round the circle, round the circle. My husband said this, my in-law said that, we don't have money for drugs. We don't. It's money.
Hmm.
Everything is money. The down part of it is money. So when I was able to pinpoint on that, I realized that, see, let's start. First of all, most of them, their self-confidence have been eroded, which was my own journey as well as a mother. You feel incomplete, you feel like a failure, you feel that there's something wrong with you feel you're not enough, you feel you don't measure up. So those things tend to make you feel you cannot accomplish your dreams anymore. So when we're able to take that off, we're now looking at, okay, how can you be self-sufficient? How can you meet and provide your needs, whether you have a husband or you don't have a husband? So another thing I think I would want the government to do is to provide interest-free loans for mothers who have children with disability.
Hmm. That's a tall order.
It's
Tall
not
one.
really a tall order. If all they have to do is to partner with a microfinance bank,
I
and we
know,
get it done.
I
It's
know.
not it's not rocket science. It's just the ability to do it.
It's not.
For them to see that it's important and they want to do it.
Because we make it everything look like as if it's so difficult.
Exactly. It's not. They don't have to do it themselves. They just partner with a
Mhm.
microfinance bank and they will get it done.
Yeah. Well, okay. Don't let overflog it. What has been the learning curve for you in all of this? Because yeah, as a person, what has been your one or two things that you've learned? Because every experience that we go through in life is not just for going through its sake. There is something in it. So what have you learned?
Okay, for me as a person, I've learned that God loves me, because that's one of the first things you battle with. That if God truly loves me, why would this be happening? I've learned that God loves me. It doesn't matter that this happened or that did not happen. And that has given me my confidence back. And I can look anybody in the eyes and say what I want to say. So that's one for me. For secondly, it has made me a better person. It has forced me, it has brought out the best in me. I'm more patient, I'm more empathetic with what people are going through, especially mothers who have children with disability. And I'm able to, it has given me grace for my journey, and I'm using that grace to work with other mothers. I'm sure if not that I had a child with disability, I wouldn't have the patience to listen to mothers who have similar experiences. But for me, it has brought out the best in me. I've become a better person. I grew up fast after that. And I became much more matured. And it has also made me to desire to want to be the best in what I'm doing, so that I can inspire other mothers who are working in this journey, that see, in spite of what you're going through, you don't have to give up. You can still be the best, you can still live your dreams, and you can still have a wonderful life.
Wow. The love part for me too is very key, because we lose ourselves, and if everybody around you is not accepting of you, who else but God? So yeah. Lastly, lastly, final, before I let you go, uh,
Mhm.
one piece of advice for one mother,
For the mother,
for a mother or a parent, just one piece of advice.
I don't
If
want
they,
to advise the mother. I want to advise a man.
okay,
Mother, 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 mother. Abba, it
that,
took two now.
that's why I said
It
a
took
mother.
two. She did
That's why.
not sleep with herself now. She didn't manufacture the egg and the sperm. It took two. Oh, please. It
Okay.
took two.
Mm-hmm. So,
Mother, 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 mother. It took two. To the
oh,
fathers, my advice is to the fathers.
good.
The fathers, I'm able to do what I am doing today because I have a supportive husband. My daughter is thriving because I have a supporting husband. Because I'm a Christian, I'm going to say this. Bible says that one will chase 1,000, two will chase 10,000. It didn't say 2,000, no, 10,000. Do the maths. So when you come together in unity to find a solution to the challenge in front of you, it becomes much easier. Because emotionally the woman she loses herself, she becomes weak. Then as a man, you work together, you support. When one is low, the other one will bring the up and down, you encourage yourself. So if it's one person carrying the load, look, it's not easy. It's not easy. I've seen single mothers, widows with and it's not easy, you know, having you to deal with the whole world, then having a woman who has a man who is blaming. I've seen blaming games. I have seen, oh, it's your fault. If only you did this, if only you did not do that, if only blaming games like that. So what has happened. Come together in unity to take care of your child and to be able to face the situation boldly. And if you need counseling, because I say that is a balanced, when I mean balanced, you're physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially balanced before you can care for a child with disability. So when you are able to do that together in unity, then it becomes easier, it becomes cheaper.
Wow. Thank you for that emphasis on the fathers too. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, because we lose focus of that. And
Mothers, mothers, mother. You want to kill mothers?
all right. So yeah. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say thank you enough. I can't say thank you enough. If for people who would get to see this and watch the replay later, how do we reach you? How do they come in contact with you? How do they, reach you?
Okay, so my Instagram and my Facebook page is at Diary of a SN Mom, and my personal handle is at BT Ainde. So I'm available. My website is www.diaryofaspecialneedsmom, and it's not the American MOM, it's the British MUM .org.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for taking a little over an hour to
Yeah.
being there and opening up yourself to the world and being a source of impact and help to fellow women and the family at large. So, with no further ado, I think I would let you go so you can please do me a favor, kiss Nimi
All
for
right.
and her sister, and
Yes,
thank
and
you
her sister.
for doing a wonderful job. And please do not forget, make her shirts.
All right. I will. I
Okay.
will. I
So
will.
thank you so much, Bukola.
All right.
Have a beautiful weekend.
And you too. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye bye.